I tried out all of these evaporative coolers to find out which one works best for cooling a room down. My main focus for this video is obviously going to be temperature, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of the other features that are worth considering when buying a portable evaporative cooler. So to test out all these coolers, I took the temperatures with the fans off to just kind of get a baseline temperature, and then I took the temperatures with the fans on, and as I suspected, the temperatures didn't really change significantly. Some did change a bit, but this is likely simply just due to the recirculation and distribution of air and not because they're actually cooling the temperature down. So finally, I turned on the water for all of these units and I waited about 10 minutes just to let the pads fully saturate. And then I took the temperature again. I also measured each of the pads to get the size so I can compare the pad size with the temperature results that I have. I got the results and I put this all on a spreadsheet so I could view the data. And it looks like on average, the temperature drop coming out of the evaporative coolers was about 4 degrees. This Tools Empire cooler had the largest drop of temperature at about 6.8 degrees. So I was actually expecting this new air cooler to have the biggest difference as it has the largest pad, but it really wasn't that far behind the Tools Empire, and it had a temperature drop of about 5.2 degrees. And the portable cooler with the lowest drop in temperature was this bladeless Choice Plus cooler. It only had a drop of about 2.3 degrees, and no real surprise here as this also had the smallest pad. So these results were more or less as I was expecting, where the pad size corresponds with the temperature drop. But having the largest pad didn't always necessarily make it have the coolest temperature. If I compared the Tools Empire with the New Air cooler, the New Air pad was slightly bigger, but the Tools Empire pad was slightly thicker. And I think the thing that had the most significant difference is having thicker pads. This just allowed for the air to run over the water for a bit longer just to help it evaporate even more. Here are some other features worth considering when buying an evaporative cooler. The tank size. Obviously, having a larger tank means you don't have to fill it up quite as much. Of the units I have, this New Air one has the largest tank with about 5 gallons, which is great. Some of these smaller tanks are kind of worthless because you have to fill it up every few hours and it just gets kind of annoying and you forget to do it, and then it's just not worth it. I would say if you're looking for a portable evaporative cooler, anything with a tank size less than a gallon, I would say don't even bother. I wouldn't consider that. Another thing to consider with portable evaporative coolers is the fan size and speed. While the fan doesn't have any impact on the actual temperature coming out of the evaporative cooler, it does help with the distribution of air and it does help push that cooler air further out into your house. So the bigger fan you can get, the more you can distribute that air throughout your house. And again, this new air cooler had the largest fan, which was really nice. So of all these coolers that I tested, which one do I think is the best? As I've kind of mentioned in this video, the new Air one is my favorite. It's bigger and better in almost every regard. While it didn't get the actual lowest temperatures of all the evaporative coolers I use, it's just the most convenient to use. It has a large tank size. I don't have to fill it up as much. It pushes the air throughout the house really well, and I just really like this cooler. One thing that I found when looking at Amazon, I kind of think the uglier it looks, probably the better. If you look at some of these swamp coolers, they don't look that pretty, but they have a lot of pads, and that's what you want. And so these work really well. Amazon usually doesn't list the pad sizes, so you just kind of have to eyeball or guess how big the pad size is. But if you can see some of the units with multiple pads, you know that's a good sign because there's going to be more padding, and the more pads, the more water can evaporate and the cooler the temperature is going to be. Another thing I noticed is if pads are not shown or if the product has these little cute icy graphics coming out, which I've seen a lot of these, it's probably not a good sign. I think this is kind of gimmicky, and I think it shows that the portable evaporative cooler is really not going to work well. It probably has a small tank, small pads. I just wouldn't trust it. If you look in the description below, I will list out some of the portable evaporative coolers I think are best and list why, so you can have a look at that. In general, if you just want a portable evaporative cooler that you can place by you and you want it slightly cooler than a fan, just about anything's going to work. Just keep in mind the things like tank size and how often you're going to have to fill it up. If you want a portable evaporative cooler that's going to actually make a significant difference in cooling the room down, it looks like you're going to be paying about $200 or more. Anything less than $200, it might make a slight difference, but nothing significant. One thing I do want to talk about is the actual design of the portable evaporative cooler. I have a couple of these that are these tower designs, and I actually really like this design for when I can place it right by me and have it blowing on me. And the reason for this is because it distributes the air really well in kind of a tall wall of wind. So it can get kind of head to toe. It's not just like one isolated area. So these are really nice when you place them near where you're sitting. What I think is really important to consider with portable evaporative coolers is they're really not going to make a huge or significant difference in lowering the temperature of the house. What you really need is to pull outside dry air into your house and push humid air outside of your house, and that's what lowers the temperature when using an evaporative cooler. With these portable units, they more or less kind of recycle humid air, and so the longer they're on, the less effective they are. If you can place it by a window that's propped open, that's going to be best. But as I've found, just placing it by me and having this kind of humid air blowing up against me, it works a lot better than just a fan, because you have this slightly cooler air and you have this more humid air blowing against me. So it really does a great job as a personal cooler, and it just helps things feel a lot cooler. So I can be sitting here where it's about 80 degrees and have one of these portable evaporative coolers blowing up against me, and it actually feels quite pleasant to the point where I don't feel like I need to turn the AC on. On my other YouTube channel, I have a video that kind of goes more into depth of some of the experiments I've ran with portable evaporative coolers. If you want to check that out, it might be of interest to you. And in the description below, I will list some of these portable evaporative units with information so you can look up the current price. Thanks.